There is a big difference between being captured and being free. Oh, those who have been there and learned the polite language know that there is no way that you could have been captured. You were detained a while, by hospitals, by police, by the kind of detention that means you have to do your homework. So, to be honest, we'll talk about being captured and being free. In fact, we'll talk about being diagnosed with a mental illness. Talking about it helps. Everyone says that it is true of the plight of the mentally ill. That's why we're talking about it, because being mentally ill puts you in a different state of mind than not being mentally ill. Being diagnosed with a mental illness is like being captured.
I sat on the baseball bleacher, and the police approached me on bicycles and in cars. They surrounded me. "You are not being arrested," one said. "What are you doing out here?" one wanted to know. "But you can't go away, and you have to go to the hospital. You don't have the right to refuse services at that point in the process, and you have no place to call home." I asked for the shelter program, but I no longer had the right to decide. A police voice said, "We have to take you to the hospital."
Being diagnosed with a mental illness was like having my arms full of candy-flavored balloons and having them all taken away. Being diagnosed with a mental illness was like having a bunch of colorful stuffed animals and having them all taken away. Being diagnosed with a mental illness was like having loads of toilet paper and having it all taken away. It was like being stuffed with cloth and having a blanket put over my head until I couldn't move properly anymore.
When I got to the hospital, I waited a week to be transferred to another hospital for treatment. The doctor there told me he didn't know why I was there, but the government had brought me to him, so he had to treat me. My diagnosis was paranoid schizophrenia. My friends were fine, Candy even, and they worked their nerve-refreshing and rebuilding function well. I wasn't hearing voices. I had been talking to myself to think, but not in the hospital. There were a lot of people there.
Then I transferred doctors, and the cloth stuffing became larger, the blanket more difficult, and the taking became faster and stronger.
Years before, I had been captured at my home because I had called a social service to discover if I could be helped to understand an article of journalism that I had heard on the radio. I don't recall how I was diagnosed that time, but after 21 days in, I had a lawyer of my own and a court date. That court date was like being set free. The judge decided in my favor and chose to let me go home to care for my pre-teenage daughter. One social worker kept coming over, but she had a court order instructing her to leave the file on the open green dot. She was never to open it. She was to leave me and my daughter in peace.
Being free was like receiving armfuls of candy-flavored balloons, all for me. Being free was like receiving bunches of colorful stuffed animals, all for me. Being free was like receiving loads of toilet paper, all for me. Being free was like being unstuffed of the stuffing cloth. The blanket was gone. Ah, movement once more.
There are lots of ways to discuss being captured and being free. What was it like for you when you were first diagnosed with a mental illness? Talking helps. My free day, my free day. I can do anything that I want to, my free day. They found me outside and captured me there. Another time they freed me, I won, so there. They had to let me go and that was okay. I was there living on my free day. My free day, my free day. I can do anything that I want to, my free day.